Hi everyone, welcome to Sim Racing Passion. This is how I got out of rookie road in 2 races. So the first bit of advice I'll give you is to take the MX5 for a test drive before you go for the race. Just go into the lobby and find out where the MX5 Cup is being held and take it for a test drive. On this occasion for me it was Tsukuba. Now, it's not the hardest car in the world to drive, but it's still, for your confidence, it's still better to have a little practice with it. As you'll see, I'm just going through here, and that bit there told me that it didn't like being in first gear for corners. Keep it out of first gear completely and just use first gear to start you off, unless you're going really slow, because the back end locks up quite badly if you're approaching corners in first. Another thing I wasn't too sure about was whether this car was sequential or whether it was H-pattern shifter. I couldn't find it anywhere. Obviously I'm new to iRacing completely, so I just went with a clutch and shifter for this car. But obviously not everyone's got a shifter, so I imagine the flappy paddle gearbox works fine with it as well. I was feeling like it was needing some sort of warm-up. The car didn't feel quite right. The further I went on, the better it got. So that's a bit of advice, is to just take it as slow and steady as possible until you get used to it, and you almost get a feeling when the car's ready to be pushed a little bit more. So that's the warm-up lap done, and I'm ready to give the car a bit of a push now. Here's an example of the track limits with iRacing. It looks very tight to me, but I got a warning to slow down. It's just to make you aware they are quite tight. So I'm just about to enter my 7th lap. And by this point I was feeling like I was really ready to push the car. It literally took about 10 minutes. Tsukuba's only just over a minute a lap time on average, so however long you need before you get confident with the car will give you a little bit more of a chance in the race. Now, the objective of getting out of rookie is not to win any races though, so bear that in mind. I'm not warming up like this so I can take on the whole field and win my first race comfortably. That's not what it's about at all. It's all about safety. But having complete control of the car before you get into it, as you'll see from the races, there are some people that just don't, and I imagine they just saw MX5 Cup and right, I'll go into that, and without knowing the car they're going to struggle. Now, I'm not mocking anyone or being disrespectful to them when I talk like this. I'm just using this example that I've found because they are rookies, and you just think, okay, that's good, just get into the MX5 Cup and go for it. So that's why I'm showing you this. I've been sim racing for a while. I've been sim racing with a wheel for 3 years, so it's just a bit of advice to help you get started. Now, when it comes to the qualifier, I wasn't sure whether you could actually qualify or not, and because I wasn't sure, I just went with it, but I went slowly. But I want to start at the back of the pack, or as near to the back of the pack as I can, because realising now that you can let the qualifier play out and don't have to participate, other players could well have had the same idea as me and wanting to start from the back as well. So after that warm-up, the practice, the qualifier, I'm feeling very confident going into the race, but bear in mind it's not about winning it yet. So as you can see in the rear view mirror there, top of the screen, I didn't qualify from the back, but I am fairly near it, and that's a good thing. You'll notice from start up here that they just fly past me, and that's my intention from the start. I want to be a chaser. One thing to bear in mind here is that some of these may well be like me. They've been racing for a while, but the vast majority of them are going to be rookies, and there may well be mistakes. So that's another reason why I started from the back. You just have to be so aware of what's going on, have so much focus, look out for mistakes. The game will tell you if there's a problem, either in the way of a flag there in the top left, or the spotter will tell you. And I say to keep your concentration and focus, because if you don't and you are chasing and you do slam on the brakes a little bit too late and go into somebody, then you're going to get a penalty. Now, this upcoming part is a little bit interesting. The car goes off there, but he is in my line of sight when he does, so that's why I'm wondering if it just happened so quickly and the spotter didn't have time to react, and no flag. Just be fully aware at all times that things like that happen. So we're in lap 7 now, and very little incident until now. There's the warning, you've got a slow car on the left, and there he is in the rear view. It is such a useful feature to have because, as you can see there from the in-car view, I didn't see it at all, so it was lucky I had that warning. That big pillar on the left there just obscures your view so much if things are happening on your left, but it's my favourite view for racing, so I'm not changing it. This part here on the start-finish straight is a little example of making them think that you're going to overtake or attempt to overtake, but all you're doing is just making them think, and they may see you, they may not, but you know, literally I just turned to the right there to make it look like I was going to attempt to overtake him, and then just tucked back in behind him. It may force a mistake. Always bearing in mind that the objective is not to overtake anyone. It's just to make them think that you are going to overtake them, but don't. I was getting so confident at this stage that I thought I really want to start pushing here, but that's really not what it's about. You have to maintain discipline and keep on chasing and stay safe. Here's another attempt here. Even though the objective is safety, I was only doing this because if they make a mistake and go off track, you'd have gained a position, and finishing higher is just a little bonus for your rating at this stage. And another reason is that there's an example of an aggressive driver coming up, and I wanted to show the difference. And this driver in the rear view now is that example. And what he does to overtake me is completely fine. You can see here I go to the right of the track to let him pass on the outside. He leaves his decision a little too late, and we're side by side on the corner. And I'm just thinking, please don't hit me, as I wanted to try and get through with no warnings at all. Luckily he didn't, and I just took him behind him. That was lap 12, and I'm still chasing him here, lap 14. I was always remembering my objective of this race, which was safety, but I'm making him think that I'm very angry that he's taken that position. As you can see, like I did with the other car, on this straight I just make him think that I'm going to overtake, and he defends aggressively, takes the wrong line, and then I wanted to hold back, but I thought, you know what, the gap's there, why not try and take it? And he knocked into me in a very aggressive manner. There's no place for it. But the moral of the story is that you are going to find drivers like that everywhere. So the best thing you can do is just stay calm and collected. Do not let it rile you up. Do not think, right, I've got revenge in my eyes now, I'm going to ram you, or you're going to get penalised for it. This is the last lap now, as you see, and you know, he thinks he's gained this position by defending the way he did, then that's obviously his choice. But the best advice I can give is don't race in that manner. If you lose positions genuinely, you can say, okay, I lost that fair and square. Don't potentially ruin someone else's race in the process. Luckily, when he did turn into me, it was at a fairly slow speed. If he'd done it at high speed, I could have ended up in a barrier. I hope you enjoyed that first race, guys. The next one's a lot more eventful at times, and there's a lot with nothing going on whatsoever, but I cut that out. Let's have a look at the stats after race 1. There's really not a lot going on after the first race. My SR's gone up to 279 there, but it says I need one more race to get an accurate reading, so we'll get on to that now. I decided to skip the qualifier for this one, and a few others had as well, and I'm starting mid-pack. What I should have done was pulled over and let them all pass me as I did in the first race, but I didn't for some reason, and I thought I'll let them pass when we get into more of a flow. But I approached this corner and I completely missed the gear shift and get stuck in neutral. Luckily it managed to go through and I managed to pop it into second and away to go, but you know, I should have kept that mentality of, you know, you're not racing just yet, so I had to calm myself down a little bit. Now we're coming to the end of the first lap, a fairly uneventful lap, and it's like a calm before the storm moment. As you can see, the blue car in front just decides to take himself off, very, very strangely, and then mayhem ensues on the next corner. Now usually when I come across a situation like this, I'm like a slithering serpent. I'll try and look for a little gap through to get out, which is there, but the spotter saying go left, go right just completely confused me. And then you see what happens next. Just when I think the mayhem is over and we come across another hazard up ahead. But luckily these two are an example of respectful racers and they let me pass. Now, as crazy as all that seemed with all that was going on, what happened next I just did not expect. You can see in the rear view mirror the trail of cars behind me, I'm feeling like I'm picking up the pace quite a lot to try and get away from them, but it's almost like they've got some sort of rocket boosters on their cars. I don't know. You can see on this corner now, they're just flying in that mirror, approaching me, trying to overtake. Luckily I reacted just in time to move out the way for him, because it felt like, you know, no matter what, he's overtaking now. So that's one I let pass. 2, 3. Okay, the mayhem's surely going to be over in a minute. Another one attempting right before this bend. Another one behind me. Actually held back and thought, I'll be on the next one. I don't know. And that one, I don't know what he was doing. I thought, you know, maybe he was looking to pit last second or something. And here's the other one, red and white, taking me on this bend. It was crazy. I mean, obviously I had it in mind, the goal to start with, which was safety. But there was another part of me which was thinking, oh, do you know what? I've had one race, I'm confident now, and it was almost like I wanted to race as well, but I just couldn't. You saw them fly past me the way they did, dive bombing. I mean, I thought it was fast what I was doing. I thought, there's no way they'll catch me, but obviously I was wrong. In the end, I was quite thankful that they passed me, to be fair. This straight was the one where the last car actually passed me, hits me as well. You know, if you're going to pass cleanly. But luckily it didn't have any effect, and we just carried on. And I felt like I had the track to myself for a little while, and it got me back in the mentality of safety. This car on the left can't see me now, but when he gets back on track he certainly can see me, and then he gets completely in my way to slow me down. Luckily I reacted just in time. Another example of bad. And I get stuck in neutral again. But this upcoming part just tells me that he's probably there, but he's just not there. He's probably texting and driving or something. Slow car on the left. He's behind me now. He went completely off the track. There's another example of respectful driver coming up. He's pulled over and I don't know what he's going to do, so I slow down in anticipation, but he lets me pass no problem. It's just to show you that there's good and bad everywhere. This driver in the rear view is a good example of position awareness. I might be wrong, but his behaviour to me suggested he wanted to overtake me to gain a position. If you look at ahead and behind in the bottom right, the position behind me is 7 seconds away, and as you can clearly see, he is a lot less than 7 seconds. It's just a bit of a tip to keep glancing at that as often as you can, as it gives you a bit more time to think when it comes to attacking or defending, or both. He may well have known, but his behaviour to me suggested he thought he was gaining a position. Maybe he just wanted to unlap himself. But as you can see, when he passes me, my position stays the same. We're nearly at the end now. I hope you enjoyed the video. At this point I was thinking there's no way I'm anywhere near getting out of rookie, especially when you consider the bump I had at the start of lap 2. But let's see the stats. As you can see there, Class D, SR at 240, and my first iRating of 1266. And there's the stats. 2 starts and out of rookie. Drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.